1775, when the American Revolution broke out, the British initially saw it as a localized rebellion, headquartered in the Northeast around Boston, Massachusetts. Their strategy was to separate Boston from the rest of the colonies, put a naval blockade around the city that would limit trade, and carry out limited military operations against what they saw as a guerrilla force. That strategy failed. Their strategy really throughout the war, again, was to conduct limited military operations, have a naval blockade, and separate the colonies one from the other. The strategy failed for four reasons. First, they misunderstood the intensity of feeling among the American forces. Two, they misunderstood the resiliency of the American forces, who could be defeated in the field and yet would rise over and over again to continue the fight. Third, they overestimated the support of the localists, of the loyalists within the American colonies. They felt that a large population of people loyal to the crown would rise and help them defeat the so-called rebels. Fourth, they grossly underestimated the difficulty of conducting military operations from the distances in which they had to do it. London and Boston were months apart by transport, thousands and thousands of miles apart, making the difficulty of logistics, transportation, and command and control extremely difficult. They failed throughout the war to ever coordinate the efforts of several armies they had in the field. In 1777, the British modified their strategy. Operationally, they looked to cut off New England from the rest of the colonies. They sent an army under General John Burgoyne to Canada. His mission to attack south along Lake Champlain, eventually reach Albany, New York, and control the Hudson River Valley. In coordination with his efforts, General Howe's army, located in New York City, was to attack north, linking up with Burgoyne and again controlling the Hudson River Valley and cutting off New England from the rest of the colonies. The strategy failed. Howe, disregarding his orders, moved south towards Philadelphia, engaged the American army in a series of battles across New Jersey, eventually taking Philadelphia, but allowing the American army to escape. Burgoyne, attacking late in the year, moved south along Champlain. Initially successful, eventually he ran into logistics problems and transportation problems. The British grossly underestimated the effort it would take to supply an army in the field moving south through the American wilderness. Burgoyne's attacks ended at Saratoga with complete defeat and surrender of a British army in the field. That surrender led to the entry into the war of France and Spain on the colonists' behalf and significantly changed the geometry on the battlefield. Howe was replaced by Sir Henry Clinton, and once again the British changed their tactics. They decided to look to the south, where they anticipated a large loyalist population. They attacked south, eventually controlling the urban areas of Savannah and Charleston, but underestimated the guerrilla efforts of forces like General Francis Marion. They lost battles at Kings Mountain, they lost the Cowpens, and they never saw the rise in loyalist support that they had anticipated. Disregarding that strategy, ultimately they moved north, ending up at Yorktown on the York River in Virginia, where Lord Cornwallis, now the commander-in-chief, surrendered his army to General George Washington and French forces, effectively ending the conflict within the North American continent. Although the war would drag on for several more years, awaiting a peace conference, the war, in fact, was over. The British strategy had failed.